Major news out of Terrace Bay as hundreds of mill employees are out of work. Good evening and thank you for joining us on this revamped TBT News Hour. Hundreds of employees at the Terrace Bay Mill have been laid off.
It's due to a temporary idling of operations, which became effective this afternoon. The layoffs are expected to affect roughly 400 workers, with no word on how long the shutdown will last. The company, AV Terrace Bay, a subsidiary of Aditya Birla, says the shutdown is due to, quote, prevailing market conditions. They have committed to maintaining the mill in a state of warm idle to facilitate a possible restart.
Well, tragic New Year's Day in the KI First Nation.
2 people are dead and police are investigating one of the deaths as a homicide. OPP officers from the KI detachment responded to an incident just after 3 p.m. yesterday, where one person was found deceased. Officers later located a second person dead as well. The OPP Criminal Investigation Branch is leading the investigation. Police says there's no threat to public safety, but advise that there will be an increased police presence in the area.
A local MPP is once again calling for improved highway safety in the north after 2 fatal collisions this past weekend. The first happened on Highway 1117 on Saturday, while the second crash occurred Sunday morning on 527 north of Thunder Bay. That brings the total number of fatal collisions in 2023 reported to the Northwestern Region OPP to 27. Thunder Bay Superior North MPP Lise Vaugeois is asking the Minister of Transportation to acknowledge that there's a problem that needs to be addressed. She believes one of the reasons we're seeing more highway collisions is because transport driver training isn't being monitored.
They're supposed to be getting this training. There is a standard. It's not being met. It's not fair to those drivers. It winds up really putting them at risk, putting all of us at risk. And it creates a situation where people are angry at the drivers, and I feel like that's misplaced. That the anger belongs with where the training is taking place, and the fact that it's not being done, and the fact that the ministry is not providing inspectors to make sure it's actually happening.
Thunder Bay residents will have to wait a little longer before hitting some popular outdoor rinks.
Right now, the only option for local skaters is Marina Park, but city officials are optimistic that the colder weather that's expected in the coming days will allow them to open more by the weekend. Jessica Clement has the details.
The warmer than usual December caused problems for many winter sports enthusiasts, including those who use outdoor rinks. Currently, out of the 31 rinks, the only one that's safe for use is at Prince Arthur's Landing, which initially opened at the beginning of December. Parks and Open Spaces manager Corey Halverson says this season's temperatures presented challenges for them.
The month of December did not include temperatures that supported flooding and building of ice on the outdoor rinks. It's very frustrating. We look forward to providing this service to the public through the winter. Especially for the winter break. Everyone's excited to get on the rinks typically at that time, so that's been delayed. Well, that'll be pushed into January, so we're just optimistic that we'll get there as soon as possible.
Halverson says the weather this week looks promising, and he thinks some rinks could be open by this weekend. Crews will be hard at work flooding and building up the ice, and luckily some sites already have an ice base they can work with.
We were flooding in December. We were trying to make as much progress as we could. We did have some sites that had sort of a rudimentary ice buildup for a base, but those were typically seeing, days of +6, +7, +8, so those would sort of pool water on the top of the ice, but the ice was staying at the base, so we do have that to work with. And then some of the sites were sort of building from ground level because it wasn't, the ice buildup hadn't gotten there yet.
The popular Vickers Park skating trail will also be open this season, and crews will be actively flooding the track. Updates for when each site is open can be found on the city's website. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Well, it's that time of year when many people begin taking down their holiday decorations and getting rid of their live Christmas trees. To ensure that's done in an environmentally friendly way, the city has again opened its annual tree recycling locations. One of those sites is at Delaney Arena, where there are already dozens of trees piled up. Jason Sherband is the city's manager of solid waste and recycling services. He notes the sites are available until January 12th, giving residents the chance to pack things up and get the trees ready to go.
So we want people to obviously take advantage of it, make sure they're doing the right thing and recycling the trees. And just one of those reminders, we want to make sure that people are just bringing their trees to these sites. So no tree stands, bags, ornaments, etc., because we've certainly seen that in the past.
There are 9 total sites in the city, including West Thunder Community Center and Grandview Arena.
Meanwhile, some unfortunate news regarding the big Christmas tree in Kenora. OPP are now investigating after it was cut down. On Saturday, Kenora OPP were dispatched to the intersection of Main Street South and 2nd Street. Officers arrived to find that the tree had been sawed down, and it's still unclear who's responsible. Kenora Mayor Andrew Poirier says there are a lot of questions the community wants answered.
I guess everybody wants to know why someone would do that. I mean, it's like depending on why someone would do that or people would do that. Why would it be the Christmas tree? I think a lot of people have those questions. I do too. But I think a lot of people want to make sure that there's consequences.
Police are urging anyone with information about the incident to contact Kenora OPP or Crime Stoppers.
Cannabis users could soon have more choice when it comes to where to buy.
When the new year began, the cap on the number of pot stores in Ontario doubled to 150 stores per company across the province. Beth McDonnell has the details.
Big changes are coming to the way cannabis retailers are able to operate in Ontario. Previously, companies could open 75 stores. Now they can open 150.
We welcome the move by the Ford government. It's really going to empower legal cannabis retailers like us and others.
Omar Khan is with High Tide, the parent company of Canna Cabana, which operates 54 stores in Ontario. He says the move will help reduce illicit marijuana sales, which make up about 40% of the market.
If you look at provinces like Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, they do actually have higher concentrations of cannabis stores per 10,000 people or per 10,000 residents than Ontario. In Alberta, it's actually about double. But their illicit market rates are much lower than in Ontario. So for example, in Alberta, the illicit market only accounts for about 20% of their total sales.
He says consumers need easy access to drive down the black market across the province, and ultimately the market will decide how many stores are needed.
Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
The mayor has proclaimed January Alzheimer's Awareness Month in Thunder Bay. It's part of a national education campaign that aims to raise awareness and combat the stigma surrounding dementia.
We're affected by the rising number of individuals and families affected by Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia.
A flag was raised outside City Hall to mark the occasion. Through the campaign, the Alzheimer's Society hopes to foster open and honest conversations about dementia and help those affected find the support they need. Thunder Bay Atikokan MPP Kevin Holland says it was important for him to attend the event as his family has been directly impacted by the disease.
We saw friends and family drift away because they didn't know how to deal with my mom's illness. So, and that's difficult. The patients, those suffering from the illness, still know enough that to recognize that people aren't coming around.
We have a support team that helps answer very, very difficult questions. If there is a diagnosis and there is a family that are unaware of knowing how to talk to the person, be around the person, we are there to offer that education, information, and support.
Gary says there are just over 3,000 people living with Alzheimer's or a related disease in the area. She urges anyone looking for support to contact the Alzheimer's Society.
As we've turned the page on another year, many are taking the time to reflect on 2023. That includes local politicians who spoke to us about their political highlights from the past 12 months.
Oh, for sure, it was exceeding our housing target as a municipality, and the fact that that's doubled in impact by the cooperation from council in pulling together to make sure that happened. So it really was a double success.
There have been a number of bills that have come forward that we think were quite negative, and we've been able to push those bills back. I think of the attempt to use the charter to take away rights from education workers, and people came together and we pushed back very hard on that, and the government walked it back.
It was important to me, and it was a fight I think I've won, which is on limiting medical assistance in dying for people with mental health reasons. That was a big fight. There was a private member's bill by the Conservatives on that, which I supported and voted for. However, we reconstituted the committee to look at that, who's finished the study. And I think the study went fairly well.
I think the fact, the ministers are coming here, engaging with our stakeholders, so they can really convey to the ministers directly with regards to what the circumstances are, what we need in Thunder Bay that may be different for the needs in different parts of the province. And we're seeing results from those ministers' visits. We've had 4 roundtables on issues that are of great importance to Thunder Bay, Atikokan, and Northwestern Ontario in general. But we've also seen substantial investments coming to the region as a result of these, the engagement with ministers, with their stakeholders.
Clean Water for First Nations Act. This legislation is a replacement legislation for Harper-era water legislation on First Nations that was resoundingly hated by First Nations, didn't achieve at all its goal of protecting water for generations to come. And interestingly, this legislation was developed with extensive input from First Nations themselves, leaders, experts. So I'm really looking forward to that bill working its way through the House of Commons.
For one local family, the highlight of 2024 came very early this year. The Dennis family welcomed a 3rd child yesterday, marking Thunder Bay's first baby of the year. This little bundle of joy is Paisley Autumn Dennis, born to parents Richard Dennis and Chantel Rochanin. Paisley was delivered at the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Center at 9:12 a.m. yesterday, weighing 6 pounds 11 ounces. It's the Dennis family's 3rd child. Both the baby and mother are doing well.
Oh, a bundle of joy indeed.
Indeed,
What
yes.
a sweetheart there. Well, Fiona, we're going to kick it over to weather now. New year, new baby, new set, and then you've got a new weather system that you're going to present us with. What does the weather that's written upon it look like?
Well, we are finally also getting snow.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a wonderful thing to behold on the weekend for those of us who are just not feeling quite festive enough? Today we had a little bit more, a few periods of early morning snow. We had an overnight low of -6 and wind chills hit about -18 to start the day, but we did warm back up to the freezing mark and wind chills of about -4 under mostly cloudy skies this afternoon. Winds have been coming from the northwest, kicking up a notch this evening or late in the afternoon, up to about 27 kilometers per hour. But for most of the day, it was, we'll call it fairly moderate. Now, if we take a look at what has been moving through, we've had that snow move out and just a few little pop-ups earlier today. But all in all, things seem to be more or less clearing out, at least as far as heavy snow is concerned. At this hour, we've got a lot of clouds in Fort Frances, but temperatures sitting around -2, wind chills -7 at this time. As you head up into Red Lake, they've had snow all day, and wind chills are currently hovering around -11. Eastward into Sioux Lookout and Armstrong, they're at -5. Greenstone is currently sitting at -4. They've had periods of snow off and on throughout the day, but temperatures have not moved. It's been sitting at -4 all day long and wind chills of -8. And as we head down along the North Shore, we're at -2 in Nippigan, and Marathon is currently -3, -1 in both Wawa and Sault Ste. Marie. The snow and kind of freezing drizzle just started in the last hour, so wind chills are currently sitting at about -7. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we are going to drop down to -7 and wind chills of about -12, cloudy skies and a couple of centimeters, but that's about it. We're really not looking at a whole lot of snow, but wind chills are going to possibly be more of a factor as the forecast moves into tomorrow, because winds are kicking up to 40 kilometers an hour. As we kick off this new year with new graphics, we've also got cooler temperatures. We're back into more seasonal levels, and we have possibly more snow for the weekend, but not a whole lot for the rest of the week. I'll have more details on that later on in the NewsHour.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. Well, we've been saying for a while now that we want more snow, but now I find myself, let's not get too much.
Yeah, let's keep it how it is now.
Let's slow down a little bit. All right, turning our attention to international news, there is a major investigation of an incident in Japan where two planes actually collided. 5 people have been killed. We'll have details on that and more as your NewsHour continues right after the break.
Shake and all the lights turn dark and everyone starts screaming in Japanese.